Because the one thing that's not happening, no matter how much I squeeze it, I'm not really getting a muddy hand. Hi, it's Carol from Gardeners by Trade. How you going? Today I'm going to talk to you about whether or not you should replace your soil every 12 months in your garden. The flat out answer is no. Everyone likes nice, friable soil. Talking of likes, how about you give us a like, subscribe to our channel. Any questions you've got, just hit us up down below. So the question was, do you need to replace your soil every 12 months? And the answer is no. Unless you've got veggie gardens where it's easy and it's viable to dig them out and you need high nutrients and stuff like that to feed your plants that are constantly fruiting, that's an easy thing to do. But in a garden, it's not impossible. The practical thing to do is to build it up with nutrients, organic matter and stuff like that, and you'll benefit so much more with stuff like that, and your plants will as well. It's just understanding what you need to do. The next thing you want to do is understanding your soil type. There's sort of sandy soil, clay soil, and then you've got like a silty soil. They're predominantly the three. Next thing you want to do is do a pH test on your soil. The best thing about that is working out where everything is. It's either going to be quite acidic, alkaline or neutral. You want it in neutral. Most of your plants will really thrive in a neutral environment. Some plants do it like it a bit more on the alkaline and some like it a bit more on the acid. Hydrangeas are ones that will show you soil type with the colour of their flowers. But anyway, the best way to work it out is to get yourself a pH kit, just a soil kit. Do a few spots around your yard and then work out what your majority is. Your soil should be consistent throughout generally. Some areas will be more neutral or high in acidity. It's very rare you'll be high in acidity in one area and alkaline in the other. You can pick these up online or at your local garden centre. Easy to use, self-explanatory. We picked this one up from a garage sale or a yard sale for $1, so it was perfect. One thing to keep in mind, if you're not comfortable doing your pH, just go down to your local garden centre and they'll do it for you. Most of them will do it for free or for quite a minimal cost. Once you work out what your pH level is, you also need to work out what your nutrients, what you need to add or remove. Most gardens will thrive on an organic matter, so things like aged cow manure, your mulches, your high quality mulches which will break down quicker and feed into your soil, or just a general mulch which will probably more give body to your soil, but it'll also retain water into your soil a bit better. Hang around to the end of the video and we'll show you our soil type. Alright, so there's three main soil types. You've got sandy, which is if you pick it up in your fingers and just move it around, it'll be quite gritty, a little bit like the beach. Then you've got clay, which is a bit slimy, especially when it's wet. It will stick to your fingers and be quite greasy. And then you've got sort of like a silty soil, which is quite fluffy and powdery. Silty soil is probably one of the better ones that you can work with. They're a little bit more friable and they're better for your water penetration. Alright, so with a sandy soil, once you've worked out, okay, I've got a sandy soil, you've done your pH test, things you need to do. Sandy soil, the demons of them are, they don't retain water, water flows through, and the same problem is with nutrients. They will just flow through, so they don't get retained in the soil. That's where organic matter and mulch come in handy. Clay soil is a lot harder to work with. You can use a gypsum clay breaker. There's different products out there that'll help break it down, so the water you'll get better penetration of the water. You don't want it to be sitting there. But the problem with clay soils is they'll retain, your roots don't get to spread and they don't let the water flow through. It almost pools and they'll end up with wet feet, which can cause rotting. And then you've got your silted soil. Now your silted soil's obviously got good flow. It's a little bit more friable, so it's a lot fluffier, but it's still not quite where you want it to be. Some of the things to look for using in your organic matter, you can use composting if you do save your veggies, do stuff like that. We've got a video up about composting if you want to have a look at it. But use compost, use your high quality mulches or just a general mulch, which will help. It'll break down over time and give your soil body as well as hold water in. And that's quite beneficial. Water's obviously, I think you want your soil to be able to hold around 25% of water. One of the things you'll notice in a high quality soil is you'll get a lot of earthworms, some fungi growing through it, and springtails. They look like a tiny little flea or prawn or a little shrimp. They're really good in your soil. They move around, they aerate it. Air is really important in soil. It gives good flow for water as well as your nutrients getting through, and also good root growth. It gives them areas to spread. So if you see those things, you know you're doing well. That's without a pH test. That's literally just a physical look. And sometimes that can show. Your plants will show what you're lacking. Your main 3 nutrients most people top up in the garden are, I think you'll see on a lot of fertilizers, it's NPK, and it's nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. They're your high quality ones, and there's different ways of getting it, whether it's through an aged cow manure. You can't use new cow manure because it'll tend to burn roots and stuff like that. You just need to put it through your compost bin, or have a pile where you can turn it over and put stuff through it. Most of your local garden centres now sell organic matter. Most as opposed to a chemical. Chemicals usually will only feed the chemical that's specified. So if you go out and get a high potassium feed, that's all that you'll get. Whereas a lot of your organic matters, your natural organic fertilisers you can buy, will give the 3 main ones, as well as some of your other ones like boron and iron and stuff like that. Work out what your soil needs through your pH testing, and then move from there. Work out what you need to target and just put it on a schedule. And every 12 months do a pH test to see, make sure you're on target, you're keeping your composting levels up. Alright, so to conclude this video, the question is, do you need to replace your soil? No, unless you've got pots or veggie gardens that it is viable. Your veggie gardens, you can replace the soil. They're the ones you do want to replace because they'll burn through your nutrients, because you're putting plants that will use those nutrients. By all means replace them, they're usually more viable, and you can put the soil in your yard if you've got the space to, and it'll bulk it up. Quite often, even though it's lacking for vegetables, you'll still pick some nutrients up. Okay, so that said, you don't need to replace your soil in your garden though. So let's just get on top of our organic mulching, keeping on top of our pH testing, and move forward from there, and you'll end up having a garden that's healthy. Your plants are producing lots of flowers, which you may want, or you might want a lot of fruit if you've got a lot of fruiting, or just nice green, healthy looking plants, because that's what we all want to achieve at the end of the day, a nice garden that we benefit from, whether it's a visual thing or a food thing, and just things like that. All right. Okay, so we'll go and have a look at our soil and see what we're going to do, but don't you forget to subscribe, give us a like, and any questions, chuck it down below and we'll get back to you. Alright, so as I said, I was going to show you our soil at home. You probably can't see it quite as well, but it's quite sandy here. But we're in the middle of winters and we've had a fair nudge of rain lately, so it's actually quite dark at the moment. But if I dig down, it's actually quite light. So even though we've had a substantial amount of rain, it's light and fluffy. So underneath, and that's not far down, it's less than, you know, a shovel, and you can see it's quite dry. It's not sticking to my fingers, whereas on top it tends to hold on a bit more. So that's the demon of sandy soil, so we need to get a lot of compost and stuff like that in there. You'll notice behind we've got a bare area, we've got no mulch, no covering. So in summer this really dries out and we get some decent winds, so we like to put this part of the garden in the house. So it just gets blown in everywhere. We end up with sand everywhere. So what we're going to do is we're going to, over time, we're going to start introducing some more organic matter to start really feeding the soil and the trees around, as well as mulching on top to keep all that down and keep a lot of the moisture in. Alrighty, so that's our soil type and our dilemmas, and we'll keep you posted as to how it goes. Alrighty, so that's it from Gardeners by Trade. Don't forget to like our video. Any questions, please do ask. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. We're going to have loads of videos up, and anything you want to know, we're happy to try and do a video, or do our best to do a video on. Bah. And hopefully that's answered your question on do you have to replace your garden soil every 12 months. There's better ways of doing it. Cheers, have a good day.